Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the February 15th, 2024 meeting of the New York City Campaign Finance Board. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the January 11th meeting. I move their approval. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the report of the chair. So here goes. First, happy Black History Month and happy Lunar New Year to all those who observe. And once again, welcome to our meeting, our second official meeting of the year. Today, the board will be voting on penalties, but really a finding of breach of certification with respect to a campaign from a 2010 special election. But before getting to that, I'd like to start this meeting off by welcoming the Campaign Finance Board's new executive director, seated beside me, Paul Ryan, to his first board meeting. Mr. Ryan is nationally recognized as a leading voice in campaign finance, democratic participation, and voting rights. An experienced attorney, most recently he served as the Deputy Executive Director of the Funders Committee for Civic Participation. Is there a problem? Prior to that, he was the Vice President for Policy and Litigation for Common Cause and the Deputy Executive Director of the Campaign Legal Center. Mr. Ryan has proven executive leadership experience and vision and has worked effectively with political leaders around the country. He brings the perfect blend of knowledge, skills, values, and experience to usher in this next chapter of the Campaign Finance Board, and we are grateful to have him with us today. Before turning to Paul for his report, I would like to say a special thank you to Amy Loprest, our past executive director and most recently our interim executive director. During a transitional period for our agency, Ms. Loprest came out of retirement and returned to the CFB last year to serve as the interim executive director, and for that we are extremely thankful. Since her appointment as executive director in September of 2006, Amy has continued to challenge the status quo and find ways to improve the city's gold standard public matching funds program. Her deep commitment to this work is unmatched, and we wish her all the best as she returns to her not only previously scheduled, but previously implemented retirement. And I hope that won't happen again. So I'd like now to turn the floor over to Paul for his comments.
Thank you. Good morning. This is my first week on the job and consequently my first board meeting, and I'm so excited to be here. I want to thank the board for appointing me to this position, for the faith you've all shown in my capacity to lead. I want to thank Chair Schaefer in particular for the support you've given me during this transition into this new role for me. I also want to give a shout out to the staff for a warm welcome and for all the support and encouragement you've given me during my onboarding. And I could not be more grateful to outgoing interim executive director, Amy Loprest, who has done a phenomenal job in supporting me in this leadership transition. It is an honor and a privilege to serve the board, to serve the staff, and most importantly, to serve the people of New York City. I'm looking forward to serving in this role for many years to come. I have only one announcement to share before Chair Schaefer proceeds with today's meeting agenda. The board's Voter Assistance Advisory Commission will hold its first meeting of the new year next Wednesday, February 21st from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. The committee will kick off the new year with an overview of 2 special elections and a roundtable discussion on election misinformation as the 2024 presidential primaries kick into high gear. Next week's meeting is virtual. You can RSVP on the board's website to get the Zoom link. So thank you again for welcoming me, and thank you to those watching on Zoom for joining us today. Chair Schaefer, back to you.
And thank you very much. The only action item on our agenda today is an enforcement proceeding against Albert Baldeo, who was a candidate for city council in the 2010 special election. Mr. Baldeo chose, as was his right, to proceed before oath the Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings, rather than coming directly to the Campaign Finance Board to challenge the enforcement recommendations of our staff. Oath has held a lengthy hearing, and the administrative law judge from Oath issued a report and recommendation that Mr. Baldeo be found in breach of his certification as a result of certain activities in connection with that election. And the board, Mr. Baldeo is not appearing before us today, and although we often do the deliberations in the midst of the meeting, today we deliberated in advance because we had the time to consider this thoroughly and carefully before the commencement of the meeting. So we're not going to break for deliberations. We have deliberated, and I will now put the motion to the board. I move that the board affirm the findings and recommendation of the ALJ and issue a final determination of breach of certification against the Baldeo campaign. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? The motion carries, and the board has found a breach of certification. That is the only action item on our agenda. And so, as we often do, we will go into executive session for some matters that do not require us to return or to vote. And therefore, I will move that we go into the executive session and adjourn directly from our executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The motion carries. We're done for today. Thank you very much.